Greetings and salutations, my dear audience. This is Joe St. Egg Benedictus coming at you with a brief video of books that I found along the way in the last half of the year that I'll be reading at the beginning of the year, 2023. So let's get this out of the way and take a look at those books. First, I want to give a shout out to my pal Mike. And, I think about my pal Mike, to whom I've been shouting out since day one. I've been doing these videos for like 3 years now, I think, and it's all because of him, But really, this channel can't be what it is without those visionaries and mystics who are out there, for whom I am grateful. So thank you. First book I picked up along the way was at a estate sale. This beautiful Oxford Book of English Verse. Check it out. As you know, I'm a big Oxford publishing fan, and this caught my attention on the in the bookshelf of this estate sale, and picked it up. It's not as in great condition as most Bibles that I would get. It's a book of English verse, but you know what I mean. It's not in great shape. But let me just show you a little bit. It has this groovy marble, and I believe this is 1928, if I'm not mistaken. Let's take a look. And there's some wear and tear, as you can see. So not in the greatest shape, but very interesting, and I think I'm going to give it to my daughter for Christmas. I'm going to put it in her stocking. All right, so there's the date, 1925 at the Clarendon Press in Oxford. All right, let's see here. Just keep going a little bit. I don't want to take too long on these books, but there's the contents. All right, everyone from Geoffrey Chaucer to, George Peele. Okay, so this is like multiple pages of contents. There you go. Wonder if it has anything from Beowulf. I mean, that is English verse, right? I guess I'll have to see later. Anyway, so there's your first poem. Okay, and give it a minute to do that. As you can see, it has the notes on the bottom, which is interesting. And it keeps and maintains the original English language, as you can see. New hit is, and new hit us. Also hit near yayas. I don't know. I can't even read that. Somebody help me out. Does anybody know Old English around here? Anybody? Anyway, it's the paper's really nice. It's on this India paper. It's a bit thin. It just feels good in the hand, though. Like these old books are. And just wonderful books. So, something else I gotta show you. Look at that gilding. Look at that. Is that some old school gilding or what? So it is a really nice copy. I picked it up for, I think, $7 or something like that. There's the preface. But just wonderful. All right, so that's that. Get that out of the way. 3 books I picked up for professional reasons. One, Sustaining While Disrupting, The Challenge of Congregational Innovation by Pow and Weems. This is by Fortress Press. All right, give you that. And one of the things I'm hoping to get out of this book is really figuring out how to move the church forward in this post-pandemic new economic slump age while managing the conflict and unrest that comes with congregational change. So when you look at the table of contents, it looks kind of perfect for that kind of goal. What's wrong with this stupid thing? Yeah. All right, so let's see here. This is published in 2022, so this has like post-pandemic stuff in mind. Pastoral Leadership Dilemma, Opportunities and Limitations of Sustaining Leadership, Leader as Sustainer and Leader as Innovator, and Skills for Both, Tools for Discerning Your Next Faithful Steps, and a New Model for Leading Change. So this is really a book that I hope will fit. One of the things I thought of is, look at this. When you look at this publication, okay, it's kind of like off-center. And then you look at the language, which is like, it's like a clash of like fonts. I thought, man, this is really, Fortress Press has to pay a little more attention to their formatting of books, because Fortress Press is one of the premier presses, and I found the quality of the inside text a little bit wanting, but that's not why I bought it. I bought it to really find some solidarity in a new book for leading in a new age, and I hope that this will be it. So that's that. Next book is by one of my old professors. This is one of the most influential professors in all of my education. I had two extremely influential professors among all of my good professors. They're all good, but two influential. One was my New Testament professor in college, Dan Goodman, and the other one was the New Testament professor in seminary, Dr. Carson. And Dr. Carson really taught me everything I knew. So when I do Bible studies and I'm talking about honor and shame, and I'm talking about things like cultural context and appropriation, gender, ethnicity, it really does stem from Dr. Carson. He took me under his wing in seminary, and this is his dissertation, so it's very much printed like a dissertation. You could see actually how dissertation-y it is. On the Ethiopian eunuch in the book of Acts, in which he studies gender, ethnicity, a little bit of race, and also the just the context of that entire narrative, and how that narrative was treated in the early church and the later church. Which, it's interesting because when you say, who's the first Gentile convert in Acts, who do you say? Probably Cornelius, right? Nope. The Ethiopian eunuch was the first convert. And it's funny how you say that Cornelius when the eunuch is the first convert. And what I find interesting about that is that just shows you just how ignored the eunuch is, because not only because of his sexual ambiguity, but most likely because of his race as an African from the Ethiopian Empire of Kush. So even in your answer of the first Gentile convert in the early church in the book of Acts, you can see some very unconscious bias. And then two books that I got from a care package from Miserable Offender, so very, very grateful. First, The Imitation of Christ. What makes this book unique is it's a new translation, and I think that's really interesting because I have a version up here that's the original, but this is a translation which I think is really interesting. So I'm looking forward to reading through this down the road. And many of you know The Imitation of Christ. It's a 14th century or 13th century, there you go, 1427. So 1400s spiritual classic, and I thank Miserable Offender for sending me this copy of a new translation. Look forward to seeing that. And then the other thing he sent me was the Inclusive New Testament and Psalms. What's interesting about this, there you go. What's interesting about this is I think this was ahead of its time. And I'm not going to spend time reviewing this particular Bible because Miserable Offender reviewed it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that video of that review down in the comments, not the comments, but the subscription below. So if you want to see a review of this Bible, I encourage you to check out his page. Plus, I got to give him props for sending me a care package. But look at this date, 1995, ahead of his time, by Oxford University. So I'm grateful for another Oxford translation to put on my shelf, especially one that's an inclusive version ahead of its time, in which, for instance, the Lord's Prayer says, Our Father, Mother, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, or holy is your name. So, very interesting, very, very interesting translation. And speaking of interesting translations, I want to let you know of something. I did an interfaith Thanksgiving service, as I do every year, with local clergy and faith leaders in town. I do it every year. And I used the First Nations version of the New Testament, which is the indigenous, Native American indigenous translation. And I did the reading of Philippians chapter 4, I believe, of, give thanks always. People loved it. I had so many people request a copy or information on that First Nations version of the New Testament. In fact, I'm having breakfast with one of our faith leaders in town this Thursday, and she said, "Hey, can you bring that that New Testament that you read out of in that service in Thanksgiving?" So Just really grateful for just a wonderful care package, these new books that I bought new, which I rarely do, but wanted to, and then a wonderful poetry book here from 1925. I plan on passing on to my daughter in her stocking this year. So have a great new year, 2023. Read often and be good.